And here we go. Michaela Putala is a registered dietitian in Los Angeles, California. She's been on both ends of the dieting spectrum. As a young dancer, she struggled with maintaining a healthy relationship with food and her body. And today she uses the very tools she learned to overcome these struggles to guide lifelong dieters in their journeys to make peace with food and their bodies. Throughout her own journey, let's see, I'm going to mess that up. Throughout her own journey, she discovered the lack of accessibility to support from professionals dedicated to repairing food-body relationship. Inspired to turn the healthcare narrative away from dieting, she went on to earn her Bachelor of Science in Nutrition and Dietetics from the University of North Florida. Now she works with clients to find food freedom. Michaela believes you can change the world when you change your relationship with food and your body. So great to have you here, Michaela. I'm super excited to get to know you. Tell everyone where they can find you online.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here as well. You can find me at food.peace.nutritionist on Instagram. So that's all I have for you right now.
Yay, that's enough. As we learned from Libby that we can start a business with just an Instagram handle. Isn't that amazing?
Yes, so amazing.
So I love how clear you are. I mean, your story is amazing and how clear it is. Like you literally went to school already knowing exactly who you wanted to help and how you wanted to help them and what your niche was essentially. That's you're way ahead of a lot of us. So can you talk about where you started out versus where you are now?
So, okay, here's the thing. I had a hard time with starting only because coming out of my internship, I did not think I could start my own business, my own practice, and all that stuff. That was until I saw Libby on Instagram. So I will say that. But I started out from zero. In March, I started from zero, and now I have about 8 clients who have been with me now for about 4 months, and I'm continuing to grow. So
That's amazing. Congratulations. That's fast, really, to have 8 clients who obviously you're doing a great job because they're still with you 4 months later.
yes, it's nice. It's great to be able to build those relationships and keep them going.
Yay. And that's one benefit of owning your own business as opposed to insurance and all those other limitations we have working for someone else telling us how often and how many times we can see someone.
Yes, definitely. Impatient was my worst nightmare.
Oh, well, okay, we're going to get to that. I want to hear some stories about that. Let's talk about, so I understand your niche. Let's talk about the type of clients you work with in a little bit more detail.
Okay. So typically I work with the lifelong dieter. So she's been dieting since she was 9, and from there just doesn't know what to do next because she knows diets don't work and needs help. So that's typically my ideal client. It was funny because there's a lot of food freedom dietitians out there, and I struggle to find where I fit with all of them. And there was a little part where I went to, I think I did former dancers. So I tried to niche down to that, and I realized that was not a good idea. Libby helped me with that. Thank you, Libby. So I learned that it's okay to be broad as long as you start.
Love it. So what was wrong with that niche, the dancers, former dancers?
That it was hard because a lot of former dancers do not want food freedom.
Oh, so you found that just wasn't a pain point for them.
Yes. So that was definitely something very interesting that I learned.
Very interesting. So you ended up, you really are on like the opposite path of most of us. You started with a very, very narrow niche and ended up having to broaden it a little bit, learning that the type of client you were hoping to target didn't actually want what you were offering.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, interesting. You're backwards from the most of us.
Yes. And it's because at the end of the day, I know we are all so scared to start and we think, oh, it's too broad, it's too broad, or oh, I need to find where I fit. When in reality, you don't need to find where you fit because it's going to change no matter how narrow you are or how broad you are.
Very true. And that's, yeah, just get started and you'll start finding your voice, finding who you like to talk to, finding who you like to work with, finding who resonates with you. So true. And even though there may be 100 food freedom dietitians, you're you and you have your own unique way of saying it and teaching it.
Exactly.
So, okay, hang on. What did I want to say about that? I totally I hear your niche. And when you describe, that person that started dieting when they were 9 years old, I always tell my story that I started dieting when I was in third grade. And so that's just something like that being so specific. People are going to hear you and say, wow, that was about when I started dieting when I was a child, and how ridiculous that is. And so I love like being really clear about who you're serving to the point where you know what age they started dieting is a really great tip.
Yes. And you cannot be, how do I say it? The more specific, the better, because those little points, like when you're 9 years old, are what you stick with throughout your whole life when you've been a lifelong dieter. So there's no detail too small that you could point out in your ideal client.
Absolutely. So, and for those of you listening, in the Dietitian Boss program, Libby helps you with worksheets and lots of other ways, and verbal assistance and assistance in the group of dietitians and supporters, helps you really brainstorm and get super clear on who you're helping and what they're struggling with.
Yes, big time. I cannot thank, am I allowed to say their names?
Yeah,
Okay. All right. I cannot thank Micah enough. She helped me so much, and as well as Libby. So I know that through your journey, there are a lot of bumps, there's a lot of limiting beliefs, but they help you get through that and really find who you want to work with.
amazing. So good. So there you were, you had this dream to start your private practice. What actually led you to take action on it?
Hmm. Libby's posts. So I kept seeing her come up, and she was just like, you can do this. You can do this. She just kept saying that. Hold on, let's see how I'm going to say this. Like the only person holding you back is yourself. And all the stories of all the dietitians who she has helped really inspired me and drove me to take action and put aside what I thought I could do, because coming out of my internship, again, clinical story, I didn't think that dietitians really amounted to anything. And that was the limiting belief I had coming out of my internship. And that's what held me back from starting my own practice or my own business. And I just thank you, Libby, for starting her Instagram and inspiring dietitians around the world to start their own businesses and help people.
There's so much to pull from that. Imagine, how did that feel? All the work you put into school, finishing your internship, and feeling like dietitians don't amount to anything.
That it was, it was hard because both of my sisters are nurses. And being in an inpatient facility with nurses and watching them save lives and watching them be there, and you're just sitting here writing a prescription, or like a I forgot what they're called. What do you call them? Writing a like prescription for Insure and diagnosing malnutrition. Like that's what I felt like I was doing all day, and I was not going to help anyone long term because these people were at the end of their life and they really didn't care what you had to say. Doctors don't care what you have to say. And the dietitians you're working with in inpatient are all complaining about being there for 10 years and not making any money. And that was my inpatient experience, and it really made me upset because again, you go through all this school, you get so excited, and then you get there and you're just like, this is what I have to do for the rest of my life. And it's a scary feeling.
Wow. That's so impactful to see how that would feel. And a lot of us have been there, like, what? I did all this work and then this is what my life is going to look like. And um, it's not to minimize what a clinical dietitian does, but it's when you're someone who wants to make this lasting impact on, you went to school because you were inspired about food freedom and helping people stop dieting, and then you realize at work you get 5 minutes to help someone who has a chronic condition and doesn't really want to talk to you.
Yes, exactly. Which is why right now I do applaud clinical dietitians, because they deal with so much and they do amazing. They do help people at the end of the day, and it's amazing that they stick with it and continue to go.
Yes, and I recently said I I hope and pray that what Libby is doing is going to shift the pay scale for dietitians in clinical, because they deserve so much more for what they do every day.
Exactly. You could not have said that better.
And the other thing I wanted to pull from that is that you caught Libby on Instagram. You
Mhm.
saw her, you didn't sign up right away. You watched, you saw, you started to believe that it was possible, even though you didn't really think it was possible initially. She was there posting and saying, it's possible for you, it's possible for you. And then you finally signed up, right, for a call.
Yes.
And can't we all learn so much from that? That if we just keep showing up and supporting our clients and telling them that their dreams are possible, that they might do the same with us that you did with Libby.
Yes, exactly. Because we all know there's different types of clients, and there's different types of people who want to work for you with you. And I'm a watcher because I like to take my time. There's those people who like to take their time and they will watch and they will see everything you say. And at the end of the day, or when it's their time, they will reach out.
So true. And that's something that's super important, because everyone's focused, I think, on numbers and followers and all this. And what's true is you don't need many clients to succeed at private practice, especially virtual when you don't have a lot of overhead. And every follower matters. So, and you may have a follower and get frustrated, it's been 3 months or 4 months that I've really been posting consistently and I've gained a few followers, but I haven't had any clicks. And then all of a sudden, 1 month, you'll have 4 people reach out to work with you. And it's because they were following, they were watching, they were waiting for the right time, or maybe it wasn't the right time for them, or they needed to build the know, like, and trust factor and whatever it was, but they were watching. And then all of a sudden, I've had people reach out years after they told me they've been following for years. So it just takes time to build and some patience.
Oh, for sure. You're basically building your own little community. It's like your own little family community, whatever you want to call it, that every day you nurture, you give them information, you provide things for them. And no matter what, I always say, this was my thing when I was going through Libby's program, was if at the end of the day I help one person, just one, that's all I need to keep going.
That is the best. That I say the same thing. It's like, if however much work I need to do to change the life of one woman forever, I will do it. I will do the work.
Exactly.
That is awesome. And that's kind of an interesting thing to think about, is when you're putting in the work to provide value on Instagram and show up in your stories, there may be people on there that are following you that maybe will never sign up to work with you, but you changed their life anyway. And I think that's what most of us are in this to do, is to change lives.
Exactly. definitely.
So while you're in your little community, which I love how you described your little community on social, what one or two tips do you have for the listeners about how to effectively build the know, like, and trust factor?
Oh, you will hear me say this over and over and over again. Show your face. Talk to them. Just show your face. You can start off with a picture, and from there, talk to them like you're talking to someone you care about, your friend, and tell a story just because they don't want a robot. They don't want you to hide. I think about the people I've asked for help from, I've had conversations with, and that's how they will build that know, that trust, that like factor, and they will come to you. They will ask you questions, and you will get the most dreamy, ideal client you've ever thought about just by doing that.
I love it because they already know you. They know exactly what you're about, and by the time you talk to them or they want to work with you, they know what they're in for because they've seen you.
Yes, and don't be, I know that one thing is being scared to show your personality, um, because it's scary. You think about, will people not like me? Will this be too much? At the end of the day, it's your community. You're the base, and people who follow you will follow you for that reason. And the people who don't, who unfollow you, they're not there for you. They're not, well, not, I don't want to say they're not there for you, but it's not the right place for them. Maybe another dietitian is for them. And that is okay because, again, at the end of the day, you're just building your little community and helping people.
I love that. Yeah. And there's a lot of reasons people unfollow, and we all know there's follow unfollows, and it can be devastating when you look at your numbers and then all of a sudden you're 20 down. You're like, what did I do? And but the truth is, you probably did absolutely nothing, and they're just following and unfollowing. Like, you really have to let that go and just show up and be authentically you. And that's so important because um, the more people get to know you, the more they're going to appreciate what you have to offer, and the more comfortable, the more they're going to trust you to work with you.
Yes, definitely.
So here's a question. Do you think you would have reached out to talk to Libby if she didn't show her face?
Hmm, I don't know. I don't think so, honestly, because it was seeing her face over and over again that really it helped me know her.
Yeah,
So I think that that is a very important thing, is to show your face, and she practices what she preaches and it works.
absolutely. So when you sign up for a call with her, you knew exactly what you were going to be talking about. You knew her, so it wasn't a surprise what she looked like. And yeah, it's very helpful for sales calls for sure.
Yes.
So speaking of sales calls, can we talk about money? Like, how much have you made and what are your goals, short term and long term?
Yes. So I've made about 4K, which that I never thought that would ever happen, ever. But hey, it can happen. You just have to start. Um, and my goal is to start some group programs and to be making 4K a month. So yeah, those are my goals so far.
That's amazing. So your goal to make $5,000 a month with group programs, compared to your clinical monthly pay.
Yes, okay, my clinical story time. I lasted a week in clinical. I lasted a week. I could not do it. I'm also on the side of fitness instructor, so I just went full time that because I could not imagine spending every day. I knew I would have gotten stuck if I continued to stay in inpatient and clinical. So I told myself, I was like, you got to get out now or else you're not going to. because that's just my personality. So if you're a dietitian and you're stuck right now, just try to venture off a little bit and see how it goes. But yeah, so I lasted a week.
That is amazing. I love that story. So who even knows what you would have made, but I will tell you that it is not $5,000 a month.
Oh yes, I remember that. Um, that was a conversation I remember during my internship, the clinical rotation. Oh, all those dietitians were trying to get raises, and I was amazed by how many times they were told no.
It's
So,
heartbreaking and it's just a devastating situation. Uh,
yeah.
so, with this money that you're making, can you tell me about that? Like, what does it give you in your life?
Financial security, which I thought I would never have as a dietitian because of my internship, because of what I heard from all the other dietitians in inpatient and clinical and even food service. So that is something I never imagined I would have, and I am starting to build it. I'm starting to pay off my student debt, which was big because we all know we had I don't know if everyone here has had a year-long unpaid internship, but we all have those expenses we have to pay off. And it feels liberating, it feels rewarding, and I am very thankful.
That is awesome. Yay. So do you have a money story? Like, do you have any beliefs around money that from childhood or from life that you've been able to shift?
Yeah, so not talking about money and being scared to talk about money, whether that's with clients, with my family, because I used to be very private when it came to money. And that was partly because, again, my sisters were nurses. I was a dietitian. I went to school longer than them, and they were making more money than me. So I really felt that, oh, you're low on the totem pole. And so that definitely shifted after Libby's program because it's all about your mindset. And that is something that she teaches you. And it really helps you when it comes to, again, sales calls, talking about money with clients, and operating your own business. You have to talk about money. And it, at the end of the day, will make you successful and financially secure. So that's a big thing that has changed for me.
That's big. So going from a history of just being afraid to even talk about money with your family and loved ones to now being able to just throw it out there on a sales call with someone you hardly know.
Yes, definitely. And just being confident about it.
Congratulations. And yes, Libby does great work in her Dietitian Boss program on money mindset.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, can you walk us through your experience using social media to grow your business?
Ah, something I never thought Instagram would be for. I definitely downloaded Instagram in high school, and never could I imagine, I never in a million years would I see myself using this as a business tool. I just remember people would post pictures of a cat or just random stuff on Instagram, and now it's exploded into this tool to help you grow your business. And I think that is probably the most amazing thing I have ever experienced and learned. So, shifting from having an Instagram for fun to business, it's a transition and it takes time, but it's an amazing one because you learn so much.
That's so true. I felt the same way. I was on Instagram because I thought it was fun. And I did post food pics because it was sort of, I knew some of my clients followed me, but I honestly didn't understand how it could relate to business until I met Libby. So cool to be able to do something that you use a platform you really enjoyed just for fun and get paid for it.
Yes, exactly. It's amazing.
So, what did your Instagram feed used to look like when you were in high school and through college?
Oh, goodness gracious. I mean, so I had to start a business account because my personal one was pictures of my family and stuff, so I wanted to make it separate. And oh yeah, the good old food pictures were were what my feed consisted of, and that's pretty much, I feel like, a lot of dietitians starting out because we don't know what else to post. So thank you, Libby, for changing that.
So true. And then even then, I thought, I followed Libby and I looked at, her people and what they were doing, and I thought that I was doing a good job until I actually signed up for her program and realized that I wasn't even close.
I can second that. Wow. I I could just, if I knew then what I know now, wow. And you can think you're doing it right, but there's so much more to it that you don't even know yet.
Yes.
So
I
I will say that.
I remember listening to a podcast before I worked with Libby where the person said, I was ready for Libby to just look at my Instagram and say, "Wow, you're doing everything right. Good for you," and pat me on the back, and not what happened.
Oh my goodness. That's great.
So, sales, you mentioned sales calls and your money mindset that now you are able to talk about money with your potential clients. How do you approach sales, and how has your sales mindset evolved?
They are not as scary as I thought. Um, Only because at the end of the day, sales calls are sales calls. They are what they are. And as long as you approach them as I feel like a casual conversation mixed with business. Try not to put too much pressure on it, and the outcome will be greater than you expected.
I love that. Yeah, going into it feeling like desperate that you need to have them be a client and putting this heaviness on it, they would feel that. And just going in having fun and trying to help them is definitely a different way to look at it, isn't it?
Yes, because I feel like as dietitians, we all just want to help. We're all just here to help. And if you show them that on sales calls, they're not as much sales calls as they are calls. So
Yay, I love that. They're not sales calls, they're calls.
yeah, so definitely.
That's genius. Um, so you are really good on Instagram. What advice do you have for someone who is afraid to show their face?
Um, so I always say humility is a beautiful thing. Because at the end of the day, we're all human, we're all not perfect, and people are going to love you for your imperfections. So get on your stories and just show people your life. Show people that they can trust you and that you're here for them, you're here to help them. And that is my advice, because we're all here, and even other dietitians, I know it can be scary whenever you're entering this world of dietitians are on Instagram and they have all so many followers. Okay, don't look at the followers, um, because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter how many followers you have. But you think all these dietitians know what they're doing. At the end of the day, we take it day by day. And yes, you're entering this world, but there's a place for everyone. And so just be you and bring what you have to the table, and everything will be great.
So true. Just basically show up and be yourself and don't be afraid of humility, because it's beautiful and no one is perfect and no one wants to see a perfect story every time or a perfectly groomed person every time. And um,
Yeah.
yeah, getting real with them so that they know what they're getting into when they're going to work with you is
Yeah.
is is good. And that's just really good advice, because again, I think dietitians in the public may have a reputation of being the food police or perfect all the time and all this, and showing them that you're a real person, you're a human, you eat a variety of things, you aren't, sometimes you don't wear makeup, sometimes your hair's a mess. Like, it is what it is.
Yes. And I can tell you my hair was a mess and I don't wear makeup pretty much almost every day.
Me too.
So I was like, guys, here you go. Hello, I'm here. And
Right. If you and I were on there and our story is perfectly coiffed every day, then we show up into our coaching programs looking like we actually do, there would be a real shock.
you're like, wait, what's going on here?
Who's this? Who are you? Yeah. Um, so what advice would you give to a dietitian who's just starting out?
That's a great question. I would say don't be afraid to fail, and just start, because I don't think you can fail. You can't fail if you don't start, and vice versa. Wait, I'm going to redo that. Let's X that out, guys. Okay. So my advice would be don't be afraid to fail, because you're going to fail many times, but failure is not the thing that you want to worry about. It's I don't know. Okay, I'm trying to say this. Again, we're going to X that out.
Yep, I know what you're trying to say, but keep going. You're on a good path.
Yes, okay. Oh my gosh. I've been talking way too much today.
Right.
Okay.
Failure isn't failure is what you're kind of trying to say. But
Yeah. So I would say don't be afraid to fail, because you learn any misstep or any barrier that comes in your way, you only learn more about yourself and about the business world. So just get started today, whether it's a baby step of starting an Instagram or maybe, I don't know, book a call with Libby, honestly, because just do one step each day to get you closer to that. And that's all. That's my advice.
I love that advice. Just like start, do one thing. And I love the advice to get on a call with Libby, because I wish I had met her 3 years ago. I wish I had started doing all of this 3 years ago. And I would be a lot farther along in my business than I am if I had just invested in a coach who knows what to do to get your business going. Um, it's invaluable.
Yes. Yes, I waited. I waited, and I wish I did not wait. So definitely.
So what's next for you and your business?
So I'm just gonna continue going. I know that I want to start those group programs. And yeah, the group programs are really on my mind right now. I think that's my main thing. And then just continue from there.
Love a group program. It's so fun, and it's such a great way to leverage your time and also just to help more people.
Yes, exactly.
Yay. Well, it was so great to meet you. So fun talking. Tell
Yeah.
everyone where they can find you again online.
Um, food.peace.nutritionist on Instagram.
Yay. Lots of dietitians are going to reach out to you, and I will be following your journey on social media. I can't wait to see you there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.